another edition of Weekly Digest, a government information agency program that keeps you informed on what the administration has been doing that will create a better environment for citizens. I'm your host, Ursula Ramdale. Thank you for joining us. In this week's presentation for the period May 31st to June 6, 2014, increased chikungunya cases surface in Guyana, continued improvement of community roads programs, and inquiry continues in Dr. Walter Rodney's death. The night of festivals at the inaugural Guyana Festival, slated for August 8 to 10, promises to be a fantastic event with many renowned local artists set to take part.
The Guyana Festival will see a mix of the country's traditional music, dance, food, arts, and craft being exhibited at the National Stadium at Providence from August 8 to 10. It will be marketed in North America and the Caribbean and is aimed at bringing awareness of Guyana's diverse cultural heritage and generally the nature of its tourism product, along with local and regional international customs.
The Guyana Festival would be a celebration, an awakening, an opening, a moment of sharing with the rest of the world, the song through our music, the taste through our food, the soul through our culture, our history, our heritage, as to what we are and who we are as Guyanese. It will be a homecoming for all our brothers and sisters across the world. It would be a celebration as never before, a celebration of the beauty we possess as a united people.
The impressive lineup for artists for the Night of Legends on August 9 include Dave Martins, Sammy Bash, Terry Gadrach, the Yoruba Singers, the Mighty Rebels, Sash Prasad, Celia Samaru, Teddy Jones, Johnny Braff, Glenn Miller, Hilton Hemmerding, Winston Caesar, and Aubrey Mann.
Hello Guyanese, my name is Sammy Bash and I'll be at the Guyana Festival. So I'll see you guys there. We have fun.
I'm glad to know that this thing has come off, or it's coming off, because this is something really, really wonderful. Guyana needed something like this a long time.
Hi, I'm Dave Martins, and I'll be in Guyana with the Trade Winds at the National Stadium for the launch of Guyana Festival. All sorts of Guyanese people on one stage. We'll be there August 9th. Come out.
On Friday, August 8th, there will be the opening ceremony, which will see a fusion of Guyanese cultures comprising various dramatic performances, highlighting drama groups and craft, poetry, dance, and paintings. The evening will culminate with a cook-off competition of traditional Guyanese cuisine, such as duck curry, pepper pot, cook-up metimji, and black cake, followed by a grand concert aimed at promoting the next generation of Guyana's music industry and helping to develop new and young talent. This historic event, the inaugural Guyana Festival, Sound, Soul and Taste, will for the first time see the fusion of the 6 different cultures that make up the Guyanese culture, representing a true melting pot that is the Guyanese identity.
Guyana joined the world in observance of World Environment Day. Its focus was on raising awareness of the environment, climate change, and global warming. The Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment, in collaboration with the Environment and Protection Agency, held its annual activity, which is intended to celebrate Global Day for Positive Environmental Action and raising awareness about climate change and global warming. This year, the event is being observed under the theme Raise Your Voice, Not the Sea Level, dedicated to small island developing states, SIDS. In today's world, there are in excess of about 10 million climate refugees as a result of extreme weather patterns and sea level rise. However, Guyana is fortunate to have that level of awareness amongst the national population, and also over the years, government has recognized that the issue of the environment and implementing the necessary policy programs and projects must be given a priority in order to mitigate and adapt to the issue of climate change.
I remember as Minister of Agriculture, the real and the dire situation that not only farmers face, but household and population as a result of the threat of our sea level, a threat in terms of our sea coast or river coast. And these realities perhaps need to be brought home. And we need to ensure that our appreciation of this expands, it grows in many regards. If we're going to move from not only raising, increasing and raising awareness, but also taking action at the local level. And as Minister of the Environment, I'm proud to say that the issues not only concern in a general way to the environment, but also what we can do in terms of mitigation, but also adaptation in preparing our population. Those matters remain something of high priority for President and for entire government.
The protection of the Guyana's coastline is linked to the country's economic and social existence. In this regard, government, with support from international agencies, has invested more than $1.9 billion for sea and river defense this year in order to mitigate the issue of sea level rise.
We have to recognize in our country the fact that we, as was expressed by Ms. Prasad, the fact that we are noted as a small island development state, the fact that we are, and we say it all the time, that we are below sea level. Ms. Prasad mentioned the fact, Bacchus mentioned the fact that we perhaps would be another 2 meters below sea level in another 100 or so years. And if we take a look at the longer range picture, we have to wonder, in fact, whether we would be able to continue to exist, to occupy the coast, which holds the largest percentage of our economic endeavors, the greatest amount of our population. There has been the question posed as to whether we need to abandon the coast and to move on to higher ground on all of those issues.
The World Environment Day celebration began in 1972 and has grown to become one of the main vehicles through which the United Nations stimulates worldwide awareness of the environment and encourages political attention and action. Through World Environment Day, the United Nations Environment Program is able to personalize environmental issues and enable everyone to realize not only their own responsibility, but also their power to become agents for change in support of sustainable and equitable development. Following the success of the first phase of the Community Roads Improvement Project, a second segment is being embarked upon with over $417 million to be invested.
The CRIP project has been a huge success and has provided a better quality of roads and easier access for thousands of individuals to their communities. Government has invested over $2.4 billion on 250 roadways under this project. Recently, the Ministry of Housing signed contracts with 5 construction companies for the project's extension.
Under the CRIP program, we are focusing more heavily on old housing schemes, old settlement, old areas, because these are areas that also require infrastructure intervention. And this program focuses heavily on those areas. These contracts should be completed, some of them, within 3 months. So by the end of August, some should be completed, and by the end of September, all of the projects will be completed. There will be no toleration of any excuse to vary the completion date.
The $417 million will cater for 24 roads, 15 of which are main access roads in regions 3, 4, 5, and 6 that will benefit more than 15,000 people. The rehabilitation process will also cater for safety features such as speed humps and the reshaping of drains and road corners to avoid accidents by careless road users.
The provision of safety features such as signage, road markings, and speed humps. This has become necessary in communities that we're doing asphaltic concrete roads because of the disgusting behavior of motorists using these areas as speed zone and drag racing areas. So we have to put in speed humps and safety features now in a number of these roads. It is becoming a requirement when we do asphaltic concrete road.
Some of these projects are expected to be completed within a 3-month time frame. However, it is expected by September that all of the works should conclude. Among some of the main access roads to be done are Windsor Forest, Belladrum, number 64 Village, Footpath, and Enterprise.
The Ministry of Health has placed intensified emphasis on vector control activities in the East Berbice area as the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPA, has confirmed another 13 cases of chikungunya from samples which were taken from that vicinity.
130 blood samples which were sent to CARPA in Trinidad confirmed an additional 13 cases of the disease, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 15. The samples were sent after individuals showed signs of the illness. This has resulted in the ministry heightening its vector control services in the region, placing emphasis on fogging and spraying and further enhancing the work they are already doing through an expansion in the team.
I had deployed since then a significant team of about 15 persons from Central Ministry, headed by Dr. Rahman, who is the director of the Ministry of Health Vector Control Services. They have been staying in Berbice constantly since then and doing early morning and evening fogging of the activities. Dr. Rahman has taken command, has taken control, has taken leadership of the structures and personnel in Berbice Region 6 to see that this exercise is done correctly with the right chemicals, the right approaches, and so on. We will continue fogging in this area until further notice, until we are satisfied that the job is done. Ministry of Health is deploying more resources to these areas and working even closer with the RDC and the regional executive officers.
The 30 new cases are reported to be from New Amsterdam and Port Morant, indicating that the disease has now spread even further across the region. However, the disease has not yet made its way to the West Berbice area, but precautionary measures have already been taken by Region 5 administration.
The Ministry of Health has commenced in Region 6 and Region 5 training activities for the workers who will be dealing with the chemicals, with the spray cans, or how to use the protective gears, how to do it effectively, how to engage the public. So those things are happening even before we receive confirmation we have started this exercise.
An additional 82 suspected cases have been identified by the New Amsterdam Hospital as they suit the case definition established by Dr. Shamdeo Prasad, Chief Medical Officer. Chikungunya virus is an arthropod-borne virus that is transmitted to humans by virus carrying Aedes aegypti mosquito. It can result in some long-term effects, primarily joint pain, and cause moderate to severe illness. Individuals experiencing any such symptoms are asked to visit a health facility as soon as possible. Individuals are also asked to remove all containers that may retain water and breed mosquitoes.
Stay tuned, more of the Weekly Digest after the break.
The opposition's disapproval of monies for the Office of the President has affected several agencies such as the Civil Defense Commission. This agency deals with managing and assisting persons and communities affected by disasters, natural and man-made. The move to disapprove funding for the CDC means that if any disaster were to occur, the government would not be able to provide any assistance to those in need.
By cutting the administrative arm of the Office of the President's funding, the allocation for the provision of the Head of State Security has been removed. This action can compromise the security of President Donald Ramutar. This move sets a dangerous precedent and is unacceptable for any head of state, government, or right-thinking people of a democratic nation. The disapproval of funds by the political opposition for the Ministry of Finance's administrative arm means that students wishing to attend the University of Guyana will not be able to access any loans for 2014. The move will prevent many students who are unable to pay cash from studying and having a tertiary education. Most of these students are underprivileged and are unable to afford higher education to further their development and increase job opportunities.
The Agriculture Export Diversification Project, ADP, brought a formal end with a project exit workshop which was held at the Guyana International Conference Center, Lilendal, and engaged a number of relevant stakeholders.
The 6-year-long project was executed by the Ministry of Agriculture's Sector Development Unit in collaboration with technical experts from the Inter-American Development Bank.
As the development partner of choice for many countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, the IDB was honored to have been chosen by the government of Guyana to undertake with you this very important project.
The project focused on the promotion of private sector entrepreneurship in agro-businesses, improving the capabilities of agro-businesses export and facilitation services, strengthening and consolidating agricultural health and food safety services, and drainage and irrigation rehabilitation. The state-of-the-art veterinary and diagnostic laboratory, which is one of the major achievements under the ADP, can service the entire livestock sector. The program also saw business facilitation centers being established in regions 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10. These centers are designed to assist farmers in research and identification of marketing opportunities.
For us, agriculture is not just about people getting food, and that's important because food and nutrition security is important. And I think it's something that we need to pay more attention to. But for us, agriculture is the lifeblood of many of our rural families. And it is with that level of sensitivity that investments in this sector are continually being made.
Other achievements under the program include the establishment of the Guyana Livestock Development Board, the National Agricultural Research and Extension Institute, the Artificial Insemination Lab at Monrepo, and the importation of animals for the Breeding Enhancement Program.
In light of creating more awareness and a broader circulation of the country's history and struggles of its people, the Culture Ministry presented collections of the Guyana Classics to several libraries.
A collection each of approximately 66 books was handed over to the Guyana National Library as well as the libraries at the University of Guyana, CARICOM, Cyril Potter College of Education, and Parliament. This Government of Guyana initiative is to ensure past and current written Guyanese literature is made available to all. The collection included 38 of the Guyana Classics, 7 volumes of the parliamentary speeches of Dr. Cheddi Jagan dating from 1947 to 1987, and 2 volumes each of the Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham and Janet Jagan presidents.
We are tabling our commitment to keep providing as they come off the press. The reason for doing this is because Guyanese literature is important, and it's an important aspect of the creative imagination of Guyanese.
The ministry is hoping to complete the 3rd volume of President Burnham's speeches, as well as commence work on the 4th volume of President Desmond Hoyt's speeches during the course of the year.
We want to publish the dictionaries of our Amerindian languages. And you would know of the 9 languages, we have about 7 dictionaries that were prepared in the past. We have been, on this occasion, been able to republish 2 of those dictionaries in a kind of updated way. So you will also get copies of those. So in all, I think in your collection now, you should have close to 66 or so books. In July, we'll be launching a series of publications, which are new books that would have been done over the last year. So in July, we will release those. And when we release those, again, we'll update your collection. All right, so we are very pleased to work with you. We hope that when you receive these books, that you make them available to the widest possible audience, and we hope that it would be of benefit to the reading public. As you know, we have also been putting these in schools, but I think your institutions represent where people might find them of more interest, the National Library and so forth. And I think we would want to give more than one set of these books to the National Library, so to make sure that you have adequate amounts of the books.
The 38th series of the Guyana Classics includes books on history, literature, and poetry. It started with Walter Raleigh's book, Discovery of Guyana, one of the first books ever written on Guyana that spoke about El Dorado, the fabled Golden City. Books on slavery are also part of it, which give a direct insight into that trade in Guyana. Books on the Chinese, which have also been translated into their language, Portuguese and East Indian indentureship, and the Amerindians, touching on their customs and practices. In terms of poetry, there are numerous books, including one done by N.E. Cameron, titled Guyanese Poetry, which looks at 100 years of poetry in Guyana.
A former House of Israel member apologizes for his past actions, and former Army chief begins testimony as the second round of testimony of the Rodney Commission of Inquiry comes to a close. Former House of Israel member Joseph Hamilton admitted he was a thug for the House of Israel during the period leading up to Dr. Walter Rodney's death. Outlining the actions committed by him, he also said that there were many regrets which he has had to live with.
I will take this opportunity to say profound regret to Dr. Patricia Rodney and her children, and to say that hope they can find it in their heart to forgive my participation in the activities, as I said earlier, that would have contributed to the climate that's resulted in a husband and father losing his life.
Former Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force also took the stand after he had been subpoenaed by the Commission to do so. He began his testimony by indicating that he had taken no individual interest in the issue, since there were officers under his command who were delegated to do so.
When you learned that Gregory Smith was a deserter, did you at that point wash your hands of doing any type of investigative procedures vis-a-vis his involvement in the death, I beg your pardon, of Walter Rodney?
That's a police matter.
The answer to that would be yes?
No, I don't like the terminology wash my hands.
What terminology would you use to describe how you did not investigate the matter further?
What a benign...
Sorry?
A benign...
A benign?
Position where that is concerned.
I don't understand what you're saying. Please see if you can explain that a little bit better. A benign position?
Yes. Where this matter is concerned. The police were going to do the investigation.
Did you take any further interest in the matter?
Not really.
You did nothing?
No.
Others expected to testify before the Commission includes Takuma Ogunse, Lincoln Lewis, Rupert Rupnerine, and Father Malcolm Rodriguez, among others. Stay tuned for more of the Weekly Digest after the break.
The opposition's disapproval of monies for the Office of the President has affected several agencies such as the Civil Defense Commission. This agency deals with managing and assisting persons and communities affected by disasters, natural and man-made. The move to disapprove funding for the CDC means that if any disaster were to occur, the government would not be able to provide any assistance to those in need.
By cutting the administrative arm of the Office of the President's funding, the allocation for the provision of the Head of State Security has been removed. This action can compromise the security of President Donald Ramutar. This move sets a dangerous precedent and is unacceptable for any head of state, government, or right-thinking people of a democratic nation.
During Cabinet's statutory meeting at the Office of the President on June the 3rd, several issues of national concern were discussed. The media was subsequently briefed on Cabinet's deliberations.
On June 3, Cabinet gave its no objections to 8 contracts in the areas of health, housing and water security and infrastructure. The most recent adverse statement on Guyana by CFATF and the referral to FATF was described by the Cabinet Secretary as another nail in the coffin.
The outcome of Guyana's failure to enact CFATF and FATF compliant anti-money laundering legislation was more than a matter of prophecy. Aspects of the outcome were mooted and some were already being implemented.
Many sectors were already being affected since the effects of the actions taken by CFATF earlier were already being implemented and impacting on Guyana's foreign financial transactions.
Every stakeholder imaginable, including the government, the private sector, civil society, donors, CARICOM, CFATF itself, UNISUR, FATF, they have all tried. And as I said before, they must be commended for their efforts that they made to have Guyana enacting CFATF, FATF compliant anti-money laundering legislation. The opposition continues to deny responsibility for this sad state of affairs. The opposition will have us believe that the anti-money laundering legislation is just another aspect of local politics.
Meanwhile, the government has rejected the decision taken by the West Indies Cricket Board to deny Guyana from hosting the test match against New Zealand at the Guyana National Stadium later this month.
More appalling was the arrogance with which Mr. Cameron, the president of WICB directors, dealt with Guyana's president and with his cabinet. Most appalling is the support the Guyanese directors apparently provided during the WICB recently held board meeting that influenced such an unacceptable outcome for Guyana. CARICOM region, the West Indies, has recognized the role of cricket, the role it is played in the region's commitment to its integration. Here we have a regional institution that insensitively acts in this indecent, high-handed, and reckless fashion.
The disapproved Customs Amendment Bill will be retabled by the government at the next sitting of the Parliament on June 19th.
Cabinet maintained that the focus of the bill on addressing Guyana's treaty obligations should not be diverted, it should not be confused with other issues such as the environment. Cabinet insisted that that cannot be, and it ought not to be, the bill ought not to be used for any purpose other than to correct the discriminatory nature of our tax law with regards to our obligations under the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas.
And with those features, we have come to the end of this edition of Weekly Digest. But before we go, here's a recap of the highlights. Increased chikungunya cases surface in Guyana, continued improvement of community road continues, and inquiry continues in Dr. Walter Rodney's death. Please note that Weekly Digest and other government information can be found on our website www.gina.gov.gy, or you can send us your statements and suggestions at gina.gov.gy@gmail.com. Join us again next week as we highlight more of government's programs and policies which are enhancing the lives of Guyanese. I'm Ursula Ramdale. Do have a safe week ahead. Goodbye.